Sometimes reading the book isn't enough. We want to be immersed in an idea or feeling. That's why at Book Interrupted, we've made a playlist for each book cycle. Visit www.bookinterrupted.com to find playlists for each book cycle and member, or check out our YouTube channel. What's on your playlist?
Parental guidance is recommended because this episode has mature topics and strong language. Here are some moments you can look forward to during this episode of Book Interrupted.
I was like, I'll just put these on. First time ever, and I'm going to go on a hike.
In the white shorts.
Just in my white jeans.
Doing that photo shout was probably one of the funniest things I've ever done.
To hold it in place. That's what you do. That's what I used to do when I was younger. And after I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do I wear two pairs of underwear?
Actually, they need to be much thicker and much larger.
Like of a naked person, so maybe that's part of the problem, but part of the problem or part of the solution.
It's part of the solution.
I was like, okay, we're going to teach you about all parts of your body except for your eyes. You just don't need to know about that, right? Like,
It's a
Mind, body, and soul. Information is the goal. Try to learn something new without being distracted. Mind, body, and soul. Information is the goal. Try to learn something new without being disrupted. Mind, body, and soul. Inspiration is the goal. And we're gonna talk it out on Book Interrupted.
This book cycle is proudly supported by My Balanced Life, helping you find inner balance through individual, corporate, and community wellness programs. My Balanced Life offers wellness sessions across many disciplines, including Chinese medicine, which was discussed in this month's book, Seeing Red. Fully licensed and registered practitioners are available for one-on-one in-person treatments and virtual coaching sessions. As a valued Book Interrupted listener, you can book a free 15-minute consultation at www.mybalancedlife.ca/bookinterrupted. That's www.mybalancedlife.ca/bookinterrupted to learn more and book your free consultation. You can find the link in the show notes below.
Welcome to Book Interrupted, a book club for busy people to connect and one that celebrates life's interruptions. If you'd like to join along, this book cycle's from March 28th to May 2nd. It's Lindsay's book pick, and we're reading the book Seeing Red by Kirsten Karchmer. Seeing Red breaks down the lies women have been made to believe about their periods and how to achieve a healthy cycle. Let's listen in to this episode's group discussion.
Welcome to our fan episode. This is where we talk about what fans said about what we said and the book.
Great.
and which
Say
book
something
is that?
different? Oh, but about Seeing Red by Kirsten Karchmer, my book choice.
I'll start with one fan that I thought they shared their first period story, and I really liked it. Just because it's just nobody talks about it with their children, and then they get it and then they're like freaked out. So this is what they wrote. They put, when I got my period, I was 11 years old in an outside toilet at my grandmother's. I went to the bathroom and blood, and I nearly passed out. I had no idea what the hell was wrong with me. And I ran to my grandmother's with my underwear around my ankles in hysterics, shouting, I'm bleeding like mad. Oh boy, I was washed up and pads and pins provided for me. I thought I had the plague. Then the education came. It's true, I was told this was perfectly normal for a woman, but now it's time that you can never, never, never mess around with boys, because then you could get pregnant. And then she went on to say that she had to find out what the birds and bees were from someone at school. Like, she didn't know how she could get pregnant, but now she could.
Yeah, what kind of messing around are we talking about here?
What? She was 11.
Also, she said she had pads and pins. Does that mean she's much, much older? Because
Older.
This was my mom. She said it was okay that I identify her. She just for some reason needs to be incognito on Facebook. But in the podcast, it's okay that anyways.
Good.
So I asked her about that. So their maxi pads used to be like a garter belt. Like they had this belt around their waist, and then they like pinned the pad to the belt. Like this was almost like reinforcements instead of just something like sitting in your underpants. But I guess like, cause I'm of the generation of always with wings. So like that was holding on to your underwear, right? I guess they didn't, I may have been a rolled up piece of material. Like, I'm not sure what it was, but you needed to have like this contraption to secure your protection. The other thing too was she said she was really naive. And so when she was like, oh, I'm bleeding, they're like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. Like, but anyways, now you can't mess around with boys. And my mom was like, oh, okay. And they're like, you know what we mean? And she was like, yeah. And they were like, you know what we mean? And she was like, yeah. But to me, she was like, I didn't know what they meant. She's like, I was really naive. I had no idea. I was like, what's wrong with boys now? So she didn't know. And then I guess that's why her friend kind of filled her in on the birds and the bees portion of it. But like, it was like you guys were saying, really reflective of the fact that intergenerationally, right? So those women had probably been conditioned. We don't talk about this. So the best we could do is be like, you know what we mean? Like, and like do that serious code passing, which as a young woman, you're like, not really, but it sounds like I should. So
It's like, I'm 11. I know everything.
Right. And yeah, so those women, while they knew what they meant, because they had probably found out in a similar, probably a little bit, I don't want to go as far as say it's traumatic. I don't know other people's experiences, but like probably not the best way when no one gives you any information. And it's probably like the guy that's like, this is how you like, whatever, who knows? But the point is that they passed that on, that lack of knowledge, because no one ever gave it to them. So not only did they not have it when they were supposed to first get it, they couldn't give it when it was time to pass it down because no one had even shown them how to do that.
Yeah. Well, the fact that that's my nightmare when you're like, I don't want Matty to be surprised. I wouldn't want her to get her period and like being like, I'm dying, like, like running, I'm bleeding like crazy. Like I can't even imagine that's your first period experience.
I think a lot of people have had that first period experience. Like if you talk to people like, am I dying?
Because you're bleeding and you're bleeding out of an area that you probably have the least amount of information. If we're like looking backwards with women's health,
private
and kind of taboo.
We don't talk about private areas.
So it's a mystery already. Yeah. And then to have blood be coming out of it, like you're like, uh-oh, this is probably the end.
This is how I go out.
Yeah.
I knew there was a
underwear around my ankles. Yeah.
But at least she had the relationship with her
mother
and
grandmother,
or her mother and grandmother to be run out and ask them. Because you can imagine, I'm sure there's some women who are like, oh my God, I'm bleeding, and then just keep it to themselves. And they're like, what am I going to do? And like shove toilet paper down there or something. And that would be worse because you're like, I'm dying and I can't tell anybody. So
yeah,
I agree. And some people might just feel like that by the culture of their family. Like, like the communication climate, right? If there's a solid message of like, we don't talk about, I don't know, things that make us uncomfortable, then that person might be silenced just from getting that impression from their family. It would be the worst. I would hate to, like, it's so isolating. And I just like flash through history and just think of how many women felt so isolated at any given time, not just for periods, but for so many things that were like, oh, no, don't talk about it. Don't even mention it. Like, just get on with your business, women,
Yeah, it's like the short film period, end of sentence. Like that's happening today where people are like, I don't know about it. And no one talks about it. Right?
It is great. It reminds me back to, I think it was our first group intro when we were talking about the book, and Meredith was saying how like it's biology, like why this isn't included in every science class is like beyond me, because it's like we're making it a big deal by us trying to act like it doesn't exist and is not happening.
Yeah, like we don't let people don't like poo and it makes them feel uncomfortable, but we don't use that as an excuse to not talk about the digestive system.
Exactly.
I think it's just a reflection of like the people who were the ones doing the investigating, right? It's just a reflection of the space between women's rights and men's rights, I guess, right? Like it was men, so they were like, well, we don't know anything about that. And we also don't really feel it's important. Like maybe not even conscious thoughts, but just that centric point of view, right? But it is absurd when you put it in those terms, right? Like what if it was like, okay, we're going to teach you about all parts of your body except for your eyes. You just don't need to know about that, right? Like
it's squishy. Weird. Yeah.
Don't talk about it.
I've always found like every boy that I've at least lived with has been real curious. Like, have you guys experienced this as well? They like want to know all about it.
You're
I
very
think this is, like,
approachable,
indicative of the
though,
type.
right? Like you make things so easy to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? Like you kind of like make light of things and make people feel comfortable about uncomfortable things. So I can see them being like, oh, now I can ask her about it. Because I haven't been able to ask any other woman.
Well, I'm also maybe a bit like of a naked person, so maybe that's part of the problem, but part of the problem or part of the solution.
It's part of the solution.
A walking
People need to get
educational
naked.
More
message.
naked people.
Because I don't like close the door as much as I should in the bathroom. Maybe for most, probably. I do with company.
So gracious of you.
Oh, yeah. So like if I'm in the middle of, if I gotta change some shit, it's always like, same with makeup. I've noticed a lot of men in my life like want to watch me put makeup on. Like, what are you doing that? Why do you put that there? What's that thing called? Like,
Why are there
eyeliner.
so many things?
Yeah, like there's a real curiosity I've always found, but maybe I have a type.
Yeah, I'm
what I'm
wondering
thinking,
if
'cause
it is. Yeah.
All of my people are like, no,
transitioning
don't
men.
tell me.
Men,
And I'm like,
I'm transitioned men. Is my type.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, because my only experience, like with like people, like men that I've like lived with, like boyfriends, partners, like that, their understanding is it's still okay to have sex while you're on your period. Like that is the
That's it.
extent of it, and it's not the. So how does the tampon work? How often do you change it? Or
Well,
why-
I'm not saying
why
I
the
don't think I've
liquid
ever had
liner?
like that depth of Q&A, but just like, how does that tampon thing work? Like, what do you mean? You push the stick and then it pushes it, that launches it out like that? They haven't been quite as thoughtfully worded maybe as you think, Kara. Just like the technical aspect of how it is kind of an apparatus, that whole thing. God,
I use the ones without the applicators.
Yeah,
yeah.
They make reusable ones now, like applicators.
No
They make
way.
reusable tampons too, but I don't think there's enough data to say if they're safe or not. But you can get a reusable applicator that you just wash if you have to use an applicator.
I don't
Yeah,
like the
just stick your
applicator.
hand up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Guys,
it's your
you
body.
gotta
I don't know how
try
people
the
are.
cup, y'all. The undies
Cup is good.
Invest
The
in
cup's
the
good.
undies and the cup. It's
Yeah,
such
the
a
undies
good
are so
invention.
great. I'm gonna buy more.
Yeah, so let's talk about the undies because
Good
you guys
segue.
have told us, but you haven't told the audience how
Yeah.
you how,
Share,
about the
share,
undies.
share.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you and Mary.
yeah. So the NYX underwear is the brand I went with. Mare, what was the name of your brand?
Dear Kate.
Dear Kate. And my experience with the NYX underwear is like, I don't want to sound like I want you to be our sponsor, Nick underwear, but this isn't a commercial, but they are primo. Like literally did a period where I didn't use a cup. I didn't use a tampon. I used no other products but the underwear. And they're like some kind of magic underwear. I just washed them. I brought a change for halfway through the day on my heavy day. Just changed my underwear halfway through the day, threw them in a plastic bag, washed them when I went home. I slept overnight in their sleeping short, they called it. And I don't even know how that worked. Because honestly, I was buying Depends underwear for the first night of my period once a month and wearing a diaper to bed, which is sweaty and messy. And so they're like literally like seamless underwear, like almost like the material, like what is that stuff? You know, when you don't want to have any lines, like underwear lines.
Yeah, like
Like
I
that
yeah, the
material.
Like
seamless
Spanx?
underwear. I love those.
Yeah. Like
So
a
were they
smooth-
like when you did a night overnight and like at any
Mm-hmm.
given time, did you feel wet?
No. And it's crazy because it's not like it's that thick through the crotch section. It's like super, it's like at best an eighth of an inch through the
What?
crotch
Yeah, like a
section.
few
And it just
layers.
sucked it all up.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting because I'm being like, am I going to feel wet? And when do I know that it's full? I think maybe if you
Yeah.
are feeling wet, then you know it's full. But it's just more like on a time thing. It's so weird. The Dear Kate, the ones that I tried, they don't have a waterproof layer, which is why I wanted to try them because I thought they wouldn't be as like, they'd be really good maybe in the summer, like where it doesn't like hold in the moisture. But I am going to try some other brands because like I just want it more. I have 3 pairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God,
just
I
wanna
want
know
in
what-
on this.
What's the waterproof layer supposed to do? I don't understand that
Yeah.
for a function.
Get
Like
that.
most brands have a waterproof layer. I think NYX does as well. And it's just like the last kind of layer before like the pretty layer, I guess, on the outside, just so that I'm not an expert, but this is what I imagine. So that if you're kind of getting full, then it's not going to go through onto like your pants or whatever.
Oh.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that would make
Yeah.
sense.
And why did you
Right.
choose no waterproof layer?
Because I wanted to try them, and I was wondering if the waterproof
More
layer would make it
breathable.
feel more sweaty. So I wanted something that was breathable and to try that out. And they were great. I want to get another brand maybe for like the first day, because like my first day was heavier than it usually is, which was unusual for me, but whatever. Yeah, so I want to try. So I thought it was going to leak. It did leak through a little bit, but I think it's because I wasn't prepared for it to be as heavy as it was. I like went out. I was like, I'll just put these on. First time ever, and I'm going to go on a hike.
In my white shorts.
Just like this.
Yeah, so I was in the forest. It's
In
like-
my white jeans. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It did leak through a lot, but it was just like, well, maybe I need one with a bit of a waterproof layer for the first day. But yeah, it was brilliant because it was just like, it just, like I never really liked pads because I don't like to feel it. Like they just seem messy.
And it does that
Same.
crunch noise when you walk, and I'm like, does everyone know that I'm wearing a maxi pad?
But like even being
yeah.
able to feel it, and it seems like it's messy when you go to the bathroom and stuff. But this was just like it wicks away the moisture. You don't feel wet, and you just feel so normal. Like I know periods are normal, but it's just like the reason I kind of like the cup is I don't notice it's there. So I like don't know, and sometimes I forget that I'm on my period. But it was the same thing with the underwear.
Yeah, it doesn't feel messy. Yeah, the cup is so good too, y'all.
It was the same thing with the underwear that I kind of forgot I was on my period.
Can I ask you guys about the cup when it comes to being in a public washroom?
I wouldn't do that in a public space.
I don't usually need to.
That's rude. Yeah, but you can wear it up to, like, especially for your period.
I don't usually, I change it like once a day.
Yeah, like every 8 hours.
Yeah, you can keep it in for like up to 12 hours if you've got it in good.
I guess it depends on your period type.
It depends on your flow.
Yeah.
I usually just make sure it's like an empty cup before I go out, and then you can make it through whatever public washroom gauntlet and then come back home and take care of business.
If your hands are clean and you have to change it in a public washroom or whatever, just don't rinse it in between. Just empty it. If your hands are clean.
Oh, yeah, because I was like, I can't rinse it in a sink that other people use.
Yeah, that would be rude.
Okay, that would be so wrong.
That's in poor
Okay.
taste.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
just if your hands are clean, empty it, put it
Yeah,
back
put
in.
it back
if you have
in.
to, but I've never found like I change it if I'm wearing a cup twice a day, morning and before bed. When I wake up, I'm going to go to bed.
Okay.
I change mine
And-
more often because I'm still like traumatized from my actual period and tampons, which were like blowing
I know.
leaks every fucking 20 minutes.
And we're inserted like perpendicularly.
Sideways. That's why they didn't
You poor thing. You must have been like, why are people recommending I use this to go swimming?
Yeah, I do the same thing. I like put it in, and then sometime during the day, like if I'm home, I'll change it. And then, or when I get home from work or something, I would change it and then change it again before I go to bed.
So you guys inspired me to buy the period underwear because you both
yeah.
said such good things. So
Okay.
I bought them. I haven't used them, but I bought like because there's different. So there's some that are thongs, and I like to wear thong underwear. So they actually have like super flow and less flow thongs, which I'm excited.
No.
That's exciting. I haven't tried the thong.
Yeah, so I got those, and then my friend of mine. So now I'm talking about it, and like one of my good friends, Jamie, is like, "Oh, I love those. Why haven't I talked about them with you?" And so now it's just funny that now that I'm talking about it and I know about it, then I'm noticing so many other people that are using these period
That's
underwear.
amazing.
I always thought it was just for like preteens, and if you were really light flow, I didn't realize, it would
Some
work
of them
for
carry up to
heavy
like
flow.
8 teaspoons or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
a
I
lot.
can't wait to get some.
And I
Try.
think also, aren't they? Wouldn't it be a great thing to send your kid to in their like period pack to school before they get their period? Because if they get their period at school, they might be like, I don't know how to use this pad. I don't know how to use this tampon. I'm going to wait till they get home and ask my
Yeah.
mom. But I can put on this underwear. I know how to use underwear.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
also, if you have a child that is a trans boy, they make boxer briefs. And nobody would think anything weird about them having boxer briefs in their backpack. And so they wouldn't have to worry about being outed by having like tampons and whatever in there. They could just have a pair of extra boxer briefs and they just be like, oh, I just carry extra clothes for whatever. Like if somebody saw it. I want to try the boxer briefs actually. This company called
I
Isle
love boxer briefs.
makes them. I'm going to give them a try.
Oh, that's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, it kind of takes, you're right, it takes the logistic aspect out of it. And like when you're in a nervous situation and something new is happening, you don't always have like your wits about you. So just to be like, I got this, just put on the undies, you know, and you're all set.
The other end, and you can just be like, just throw out the underwear you have, and
Just
be
throw it
so
out.
comfortable, and put on the new ones, and we'll talk about it when you get home.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that for Menti. I think that'd be really good.
Yeah.
And also, like, I was nervous. Like, I didn't use tampons forever. I was like one of those girls, like how Kirsten Karchmer was saying, like nervous about like doing that stuff. Like I just had the pad. I remember I used to wear, my mom, her tip was just put 2 pairs of underwear on. So that's what I did. I put a regular pair, like full brief pair, and then one that was like high cut to hold it in place. That's what she told me. That's what I used to do when I was younger. And after I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why do I wear 2 pairs of underwear?
don't you think that has something to do with the old garter belt style, where she's like, we
Must
need one to
be.
hold it in?
Oh.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure it
she's
had to
like,
do
I
with the
don't know.
pins and stuff. 2 pairs of underwear. I'm like, okay.
You're very thin, though. I could see it like having trouble, like, I don't know.
Yeah, keeping it in place.
I don't know.
And I think mom got us those really big ones because mom, you know. So anyway, there were giant pads, and I had these 2 pairs of
I
underwear.
have
on.
no doubt. Oh my gosh, remember those giant pads that you have to wear after you have a baby? I was like, I remember when I first saw them, I was like, surely there must be a mistake. Why would they need to be this large?
Uh-oh.
And then I was like, actually, they need to be much thicker and much larger. I was like, this is ridiculous.
A friend of mine was like, just buy Depends for the first bit.
I did.
This is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know why people
Well,
don't
I already
do
had
that more.
Depends in the house. That's
So-
clearly, I've been on the fast track to Depends, to adult diapers.
You're like, no problem.
Yeah.
Check.
There's another. So Kara put a period post up,
Mhm.
and so you put it on LinkedIn and Facebook. And LinkedIn, I can't believe it because I liked it on LinkedIn and whatever.
Yeah.
But 115 views on LinkedIn.
I couldn't believe it.
Normalizing
And I was
normals, but
so
you're posting
nervous.
all maxi pads and tampons. I was like, oh, I wonder how this is going to go off on LinkedIn. And well, that's crazy.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, totally. I just decided, I was like, I want to challenge myself. I'm going to do a post on social media. And I was like, I'm going to go hard or go home. I'm like, the visual is going to be uncomfortable. The wording's going to be uncomfortable. I almost backed out. And then I was like, you're going to do this, Kara. Come on, just do it. And then when it came time to do the same post, like, yeah, I did it on Instagram and Facebook. And I was like, I can't do this on LinkedIn. Like, this is a dry crowd, right? Like, oh my God. And then I was like, no, we're doing it. Post. And blown
It
away.
came up a couple times on my feed, probably because so many people viewed it.
I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah. I was so happy that people checked it out. Maybe it was just the shock factor that usually like it's a social media platform about all things like boring. Or it's more tailored to a professional crowd where they tend to talk about like skills and training and stuff like that. So maybe it was just the shock value. Nonetheless, totally loved it. And then on the Facebook post that I did that had all the tampons and pads, I'm just trying to find it here. My neighbor weighed in. He has 3 daughters. Him and his wife have always been kind of active with, talking about all things. Like, again, back to like Kim's analogy of like they talk about biology, but they don't leave out like but let's not discuss the eyeballs. And this is what Robert said, I have 3 daughters. I grew up hearing absolute horror stories about both my mom's generation and my grandmother's generation dealing with their first menses, hiding it, being ashamed, and largely ignorant of how their own bodies worked and why. Ignorant meaning uneducated. I made certain that each of my girls learned anything and everything they needed to know about reproduction and menstruation as soon as they were old enough to ask the questions. We used age-appropriate and accurate terminology for all body parts and processes. And he says there's nothing funnier than a 3-year-old asking if you have a vagina or a penis. Each of them went to school at around the age of 9 with care packages containing pads, changes of clothes. We taught them what to expect, what to do, and how not to panic. So far, our oldest got her first period at school. She got a little bit embarrassed, but was otherwise unscathed. Our middle child had hers for the first time at home at night. It was no problem. She even went on to help several of her friends and peers. And then their 10-year-old is still anxiously waiting for hers and is excited and cannot wait for it to come.
That's so nice. That's
So
such
nice,
a like,
right?
yeah, and having especially a father saying all that, I just think it's so wonderful.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, from his
Yeah.
dad. Isn't that great? And the fact that he commented, like, from his mom's generation and his grandmother's generation, like, he's heard horror stories, like, you know, not wanting that to happen to his girls. Like, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally appreciate it. And yeah, that couple, they're part of the bus stop crew when we used to take the kids to catch buses pre-COVID. Yeah, and I always enjoyed Robert's and Aaron's, just their stories and how they've made, you know, certain promises to themselves about not repeating certain things, you know, from their own experiences. And that was always really high, just making sure there's always open communication between parents and children. So I really applaud them. And thank you, Robert, for speaking up and commenting. I love that.
Do you think if you yell it, he can hear you?
If you yell loud enough, he's the neighbor.
I do. Because he is my neighbor.
Yeah.
And my
He
window
might.
is open.
He
He like shows up. His head like comes up and he's like, "You're welcome." You know?
Oh my God, he comes up from underneath your desk, like sexy style, like,
Oh
no
my
God. No problem.
That's gone too far.
She's like, oh, I was just checking to make sure she had a tampon.
That's not how I was picturing it, but thank you.
Yeah. And then I like push him back down. I'm like, and there we go. And I act very casual through the whole process.
Oh my gosh, I almost want to like.
He's just doing a period spot check.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Everything's okay.
Unintended. You're on a fucking roll, man. That was just so awesome. I almost want to like restart the whole podcast just so we can set that up.
And he's like, on second thought, I don't want to be on your podcast.
Oh my goodness.
But it was nice to have some more. Thank you, Robert. It was nice to have positive feedback, which kind of countered how we had a troll, which was like infuriated me.
Yeah, guys, tell me about this because I like read it a little bit. Like I didn't participate in the WhatsApp chat, but I read it and I want to hear it.
So we didn't engage, but the troll basically.
Oh, I was kind of hoping one of you would go for it.
We know you would because you've been waiting for a hater.
I'm not waiting for you.
This is where we're going to go for it right now, where he can't respond.
Yeah, this person didn't really say anything. They just had like a username that was meant to like insult people or basically offend people. So, you know, this person's not really looking for a conversation. They're just looking to spread some bad feelings.
Their name, like even their name was like clearly begging someone to engage.
Yeah.
Like it was 100% orchestrated for, you know, like let's have a.
Yeah, it was just the name, yeah. And it was on the YouTube videos?
Yeah, it was on the YouTube video that was like our first period experiences. And the picture of it was it's always the girl wearing the white denim. And then obviously the picture of Schweitz as a tampon. Yeah. So
I love that still. Every time I think about it, it makes me laugh. Every time I see it, it makes me laugh. Every time I think about it, it makes me laugh. It's so good.
Very
My
offensive.
favorite picture.
It's like the best picture.
That was honestly, doing that photo shoot was probably one of the funniest things I've ever done because I'm laying on the floor with this like hat, this white, it was a sun hat that I'd flipped upside down so that it looked like a top of a tampon, which you can't see. And I'm lying in like a white sheet and Laird's like above me with like trying to do this lighting and trying to take a photo of me. And I'm like, this is really silly. And anyways.
And you're like, what's my motivation? And he's like directing you.
Yeah. Find my inner tampon.
You're absorbent. You're liable.
Yeah.
Absorbent.
And then after all that, she just cropped my face and put it on the tampon. So
After all of that, she just took your face.
didn't even need to do all that work.
It looked so good, but at the same time when she came back and I'm like, Schweitz did all that work with the hat and the thing and the sheet.
But you always have the memories.
There was a whole thing.
That's the best part.
I'll always have the memories of dressing like a tampon and lying on the kitchen floor. Yes.
Well, there is, if fans want to see, there is going to be very soon an inkling where you can see Schweitz dressed up as a tampon
I'm gonna save that.
under our photo shoots.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save it so I can watch it for the rest of my life. I'll be like an 80-year-old lady being like, remember this, Lindsay?
Remember a tampon. And then when we have Halloween, when COVID's over and we have Halloween again, your costume's ready to rock.
True.
We should all just be tampons.
And you're only allowed to drink red wine that whole whatever
And
party.
spill it on
And
me.
spill it.
Like
Spill it with
accidentally
freedom.
That's gonna be wicked.
No, I'm not wasting.
Yeah, don't.
Or if someone else spills, you can be like, I got it.
Yeah.
Roll around on the ground.
Rub up my body on the floor, soak it up. Well, I'd have to have like a material that soaks things up. I'm gonna have to think of this. This is gonna be a whole elaborate.
Hilarious.
Pads to you or something. Maxi
Yeah,
pads.
that's true.
Or diapers.
Leah has some.
Yeah, she
okay.
has some for you now.
I got diapers. I don't
Oh,
use
I
them
got it.
anymore.
You
Yeah,
know,
she's
using
good now.
Constance pads for your bed, and they're not that
Yeah.
expensive. Like going between the sheet or whatever.
Oh.
Yes.
There you
Bed,
go.
different layers, you know, that kind
There
of
we
stuff.
go.
You wrap it- They're very absorbent.
Oh, perfect.
And they look
I'll be a
Okay.
tampon next Halloween.
So what you're saying is this is happening. This is for
We're
sure
gonna win
happening.
the next costume contest at the next COVID-free Halloween party when we all go as tampons.
20.
As 6
27.
tampons? Oh my gosh,
Tampons.
that's amazing.
And we should have a box that we can like close around ourselves and go together.
Oh my
Yes.
god,
Yes.
that's such a cool costume idea.
I love it.
We're all standing there like,
I can't box. This is amazing.
This interruption is brought to you by Unpublished. Do you want to know more about the members and Book Interrupted? Go behind the scenes? Visit our website at www.bookinterrupted.com.
Book interrupted.
I have got the most personally crazy interruption. For the past several months, I have been investigating if I, as a 40-year-old woman, have ADHD. I personally don't look at this as a disorder. I think it's very intentional. I think it's a response. Anyway, I did the assessment. I got back the assessment from my doctor. We looked it over together. The results were alarming. I'm sure many of us have had friends or family members growing up who are on things like Ritalin. I wasn't prescribed Ritalin, something slightly different. I'm a bit apprehensive to go on drugs. So the doctor gives me the prescription. I don't want to do it. But then in a follow-up appointment, she shares with me, well, you know, if you were to just look at this as an experiment and try taking the low dose that I gave you, you would know right away just from how the medication interacts with you, whether you have ADHD or not. If you take the pills and you get really, really like hyper, high energy, no appetite, unable to settle down or sleep, that's not what the medication is supposed to be offering. If, however, you take the medication and you feel a bit more able to focus, a bit calmer, a bit more grounded. So then I worked up this courage and I tried one of the pills. The interruption was I didn't know human beings could feel this way, of being so clear-headed, of just being really calm, but still energized, but in a really focused, supportive way. So my interruption is, for the first time, I actually had a glimpse at what is possible and what other people might actually feel like.
Book interrupted.
So we have one last comment we can go to on one of our blog posts, the revolutionary idea of normalizing normal from Down the Rabbit Hole that Mare wrote. Someone commented that she said, wow, just wait until you see the lack of knowledge and understanding over menopause, which I think we all kind of feel that way. Like we don't want to be where we were when we got our periods, like, you know, sideways tampons and whatnot, that we want to be like kind of more prepared for it.
But
Also,
we're
I feel
not, are we?
we're
Like,
not at all.
I
No.
still don't feel like I know anything, you know?
I'm
and-
not surprised.
Asking older people who have gone through it, like, it's even hard to get information from them because
They've been trained
they
not to
don't
talk
know.
about it.
right.
Yeah.
But
But they
even
also
they're
don't
just
seem
like,
to
I
have
don't know,
much
they kinda
knowledge even.
stumbled through it. on their
Yeah.
own without
Yeah.
without the support. So it's
I
And
agree
it's
with you. I
so
don't think they have much
different.
knowledge. I don't think they really knew what was happening either. They're just kind of like,
spend a lot of time
You
being like,
know?
am I going crazy? Is this happening? Is it not happening? Is this normal? Is it not normal? Just not knowing. And they're like, oh, thank God that's over, right? Like, every day not knowing what's going to happen or what's normal or if you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes like a 10-year process. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it seems so different. Like each woman is so different too from what you talk about. Like my mom said she was 50 and she doesn't really remember it. It just happened and that was it. Like whereas her friend had hot flashes for like years and years where she'd
Yeah.
bring layers and layers of clothes. She'd have to be
Yeah.
taking them on and off all the time. So
Yeah.
it's so there's no like universal idea of
Mhm.
what.
yeah,
what
my
it
mom
is.
said that she was, because I was a teenager when she was going through it. She remembers that. And we were, and both of us being like conflict avoiders, we were fighting like crazy, which was odd because my mom is not a big fighter. Yeah, that's what she remembers the most, that we were fighting all the time. She's like, me going through menopause and you being a teenager. It was like, but that's all she really remembered. That's all she has to say of it, that she fought with me. Like, do you remember her saying anything else?
And it's hard to know. And hers just stopped.
Yeah.
Like stress. She had a really stressful life. So it was really stressful.
I was like, how do we say it was just overly
Withdrawn,
stressful?
like, broken
Yeah.
camel's back happened and it just stopped. So asking her about like, what are these, like these big bleed outs that can happen, all this stuff. She was like, no, she didn't have that. And some women do. And, I'd like to go the stop without the huge stress.
Is perimenopause the body getting ready to transition into menopause, and are both an undetermined amount of time?
No, menopause is like, I think like a year after your last cycle or whatever, and perimenopause is all the changes that lead up to that. Perimenopause is the hard part.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have pre-ordered the book, The Menopause Manifesto, which I will be reading, and I bought one for Sarah, so when I see her next, she will get one, and then we can tell you guys all about it. I'm very excited about this book.
And I'll lend it. Yeah, you guys will be able to borrow those books for sure. Yeah.
And you better tell us while you're reading it. Do like little Marco Polos of like, and now you have to prepare for this, and here's the photo of this. And
we can do a special episode where Sarah and I review the book with you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I like it.
Follow up.
Yeah.
I want to know
That'd
more.
be cool.
Because I'm.
Yeah. We make a pact like we did with periods about menopause. So while we're going through it, like to tell everybody, because I've been saying it like crazy now that Kirsten was like, you might be perimenopause, that's why, blah, blah, blah. So I just keep on saying that to everybody now. Oh, perimenopause, and have a headache again, perimenopause.
And the grocer's just like, here's your bananas. Miss.
Normalize.
You're just selling it to everybody. Like the bus driver's like, it's just, I just need the change for the fare.
Yes,
We'll
not
just get
even
you a
on
shirt.
topic, you just
We'll get you a
bring
shirt
it
that says
up.
it.
I would wear a shirt. I think that would be kind of fun.
We could get one that says "Make menopause great again" or something like that.
No.
Yeah, right.
No, I do not want to reference Trump. No.
It would be so perfect though, because he's so I can never say that word.
Misogynistic.
Yes, and then we could be like a
take the
big
red
red
away from
hat
him.
that's like "Make menopause great again."
It's true.
I think he's just unhappy though. Like some people are just unhappy.
Hopefully, we somehow need to trick our next fan book choice into being this manifesto.
Festo
Or the
We just
trigger
need to like bribe someone to pick this book.
Call everyone we know. Do you want to read the manifesto?
Wanting to read this book.
Doesn't it sound great?
Our
show?
second cycle, it could be
If
part
there's
of our
any
second cycle.
fans, if any fans want to pick that book now, it's out there.
Hint,
There's
hint.
a $10 gift certificate in it for you.
And an adult diaper.
That's
But seriously, could someone recommend the book?
Fan book
This
number
is
2.
another reason I want the period underwear though, because if it's going to be crazy, then it'd be nice to have a pair
like
with
as
me.
Sarah's
Yeah.
been keeping
Or
us
wherever I
kind
go.
of abreast with hers. I felt like it was like your period's just all over the fucking map. Like it's 2 days, like you get 2 days off and then you get it again, and then you don't get it for 3 months, and then you get a crazy one, and then it's like it's just a fucking nightmare because you like that's actually the underwear would be so good because you never know when you're gonna get your period. With the perimenopause, it just sneaks up on you.
It's like they have those first period packs. They need a perimenopause pack.
Yeah, that's would be
Pitch
such good
that
marketing.
idea. Do it.
I just did.
Well, you heard it here first.
I just
That's
did.
much work as I'm going to do.
Next, dear Kate,
That's it.
please listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nix. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it.
Before
Oh,
we go,
sure.
can I just do
Yeah.
a little update on the brazen pills? So
Yeah.
I finally,
Yes.
so I got them. Kim and Leah both know it was a nightmare to get them to Canada. I'm sorry, Kirsten, but I had to ship them to Shop USA, and then I had to, like, there was a lot of payment involved to try to get them. The shipping costs, I got a discount on the pills, but then the shipping costs were probably over $100. But it ended up being okay. But I had to like pay 3 different shipping costs and some duties, and like it was a little bit of a nightmare. But I got them. But I'm excited about it. I am going to bring some to Leah, the PMS ones, so she can try those. Kim's as her periods are great or better now because she gave up caffeine. I hope I'm allowed to say that. So she's gonna not use them and see how that goes. But so I started them, the cramp ones already. So my period's coming up. So I'll give you guys an update and see if they work. They kind of smell like cinnamon. And you do 2 in the morning and 2 at night. So it's hard for me to remember because I'm not used to taking pills regularly. But I'm going to do 2 in the morning and 2 at night. And if hopefully, fingers crossed, I mean, all the reviews on the website say that they are miracle drugs. So if they're miracle drugs, then it will be worth everything. So
How many months
I'm
worth
so
did you get?
excited.
I ended up getting 4 months, but then I have an extra one from the one I was going to send Kim. So actually I'll have 5 months. So because I wanted to get at least 3 in. So I'm going to do 5 months worth, see how that goes. I mean, at least by the 3rd month, I'll be able to tell if they don't do anything, I'll sell them to somebody or not sell them. I mean, to give them to somebody. I'm not trying to resell.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn a profit to recoup some of the
Do
shipping
that.
expenses.
Please ignore that. Do not come after me because I'm trying to resell something. But yeah, and then hopefully the PMS ones help for Leah. Once we're allowed to drive out of the city, I will come and bring them to her.
And how many months did you get, Leah? Did you get 3 as well? Or 4?
Tell me, Lindsay. I don't know.
She has 2.
2 months.
Okay.
Yes, but I actually have a 3rd. I was going to try it, but I don't really need it. So yeah, I was just.
You mean you're not a raging cunt either?
Yeah, well.
It's only me?
Well, I mean, it'll help. It'll help maybe for like, I get tired before my period. But
I wonder if the PMS stuff would help with like perimenopause.
I was just say, I think that's the formula she said I should take was the PMS one. But then she gave me all those. She gave me Chinese herbs to try to track down and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks cool. And there's some really good stuff in there. And I mean, people review it really great. And Kirsten talks about it great. And I've talked to her and she's even saying, well, follow up with me, see how it goes. You know, if it works, then let's figure out a way to get them to you in a decent cost. So I'm going to work with her and see. Yeah, she's been really great about it. So that's good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I can't wait for your updates. Yeah.
And I'm doing like other stuff too from the book to hopefully help this period. So that's coming up soon. So we shall see soon. Yeah.
Thank you for doing the hard work, the legwork on that, Lindsay.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So that's it. Fan episode Seeing Red. And we're done that book now. Such a great book. Yeah. And I'm following we're following her on TikTok now. The period expert.
Yay!
For my daughter. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
We had the Menstrual Musings challenge, and I think we should keep it open. And we could do like listeners want to submit like an artistic song or dance or poem or whatever about menstruation or their period. I think we should keep that open and then keep normalizing normal.
Yes, if you want to send us a
let's
YouTube
do
video.
that.
Definitely.
That'd be great.
Most of the people who did a period post for the contest just kind of reposted what we had. So yeah, if someone gets, the courage enough to do like a poem or a rap or a dance or whatever, a painting, a period painting.
You always take it to the next level.
With their own blood.
Oh my God. Come on. Jesus.
I thought the exact same thing.
I know you did. I can tell you were thinking the same thing.
I did not think that. I did not.
If that's what you did,
do
if that's your
period
artistic
paintings.
expression, we will put it on the YouTube channel.
Great. That would be fine with us. Splatter painting it is. Awesome.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know something that's semi-relevant. There was an artist who was doing, it wasn't with period blood, it was with, I don't even know, some kind of paint, but she had it, the way that she made her paintings was by dropping paint from her vagina onto the canvas.
And that artist's name was Leah McBean.
This was so long ago that I read about it.
Someone else does that too. Working on those
I really
Kegel
do get bad
exercises, like
PMS.
walking on
I
a
come up
balance.
with
That
crazy
means.
ideas.
And contract.
Kegels, yeah. Yeah.
I think I know who that is. It was a performance art, wasn't it? Didn't she do it
Yes, I
in a
think
performance art? I
so.
think her name
Yes.
is Laurie Anderson, but I could be
Yes,
wrong.
I'm so glad because, well, it's better than me because I have no idea where I even sourced it.
Yeah, let me look it up. But I learned about her in university, in theater
Such a
school.
good
So
memory. It's
uh,
that book you're reading.
it's the book.
Brilliant.
How do you remember things like that?
Hold on, I gotta look her up.
Leah, would that piece of information leave your head if you had
Incredible
come
name
across
recall.
it?
I only remembered that she was painting with her vagina.
Like,
That was the highlight
Kind of
for me.
stays in there when someone talks about vagina paint.
Hold on, let me see if I can. If it's, let's see. I can't. I'll look and see later when we're not on.
Yeah.
On air.
I'm pretty sure it's her on air. Yeah, yeah. She did a lot of things. She did a thing called meat, something where she put all this raw meat on her as a. It was when performance art. I think it was maybe in the 70s, 60s when that was more popular. Maybe.
So
Yeah, it's
someone
very
did it
interesting.
before Lady Gaga wore the meat suit.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
a pre-meat suit.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
something.
Gaga
It was
was
art.
inspired
Like
by
I think
her.
maybe she's prolific in the performance art world. You should
That's
look
a
her
great
up.
ending. It's a good period to our period.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Book Interrupted. If you'd like to see the video highlights from this episode, please go to our YouTube channel, Book Interrupted. You can also find our videos on www.bookinterrupted.com.
Are you interested in buying this book? Do you want to order the next book so you can read along? Go to www.bookinterrupted.com/shop to see a complete list of our books. And if you haven't tried them yet, our affiliate partners, The Bookshop and Libro.fm, both help support your local bookstore where available. Thanks for taking the time to check in and connect. We'll see you next time on Book Interrupted.
So this is just a follow-up to our Seeing Red fan discussion. We were talking about a performance artist who did a performance art that involved both raw meat in one instance and painting with your vagina or something to that degree. So I just did some follow-up. It's not Laurie Anderson. It is Carol Lee Schneeman. And she did a performance in 1983 called Fresh Blood. I think this is the one you're talking about, Kim, in which it's a video with sound lasting 11 minutes, performed by Carol Lee Schneeman at the University of Iowa's Theater Festival. She basically has slides on two separate screens and a soundtrack, and she's dressed in red and manipulates an umbrella, which is also red, in front of projected images. And she delivers a speech about blood, and more specifically, menstrual blood. She establishes a parallel between the shape of the umbrella that she's holding and that of the vagina. And a second performer comes out and then as her alter ego, and there's a whole dream, and it's based on a dream she had about an umbrella and the V shape recalling the shape of the vagina. So there we go. Carol Lee Schneeman.
That's not what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
No, so there's others out there.
There was
there you
someone
go.
who was
Saying.
literally dropping, like, I don't know how it was happening, but she was dropping paint from her vagina onto a canvas below her and creating a piece of art from however it splattered.
Oh.
And I feel like it was in Vancouver. I really shouldn't talk about it because I have like literally no information to source it. But maybe a fan might know and can update. So that's awesome because that one's actually more on topic, right? Because that was about menstruation and everything else. Mine was just someone using their vagina as a tool for their art. I don't think it was associated with menstruation, but it's so funny because I'm going to be like, it always stuck with me. Only what she did, not who she is.
Not her name.
No, not her name at all.
She is just a vagina.
Yeah, she's just
with
a
no
vagina.
name.
Just a painted vagina. I'll always remember that painting vagina.
Always.
Moments you can look forward to on next week's Book Interrupted. We would like to welcome Squiggy, our fan, to the show, and his fan book choice, White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo.
And that's when Book Interrupted reached out to me, calling my bluff. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because I'm like, well, I said I'd talk about this book.
And I can't wait for the white woman tears one, because there are a lot of tears on this show already.
Like I'm learning and I'm like, man, I can't get out of my own way on this. Literally my own skin on this.
You know, all of our history, all of the words that people use, it's this like whitewashed idea.
He was like, he didn't even know to think otherwise.
The question.
I want to call it like a mine, like a landmine that white people can step on.
Book Interrupted.